2 years ago, my world turned upside down in the best way possible. I found out I was pregnant. My heart raced as I held the test in my hands, the tiny plus staring back at me. When I told my husband, his reaction brought tears to my eyes. He wrapped me in the tightest hug and whispered, "This is the best news of my life." At the time, life was simple, yet full of dreams. We had just managed to save enough money to buy a modest little house, nothing fancy but ours. It was the kind of place where dreams could grow. My mother, however, had bigger ideas. "Why settle for small?" she said, her tone firm but full of confidence. "Take a bigger house. I'll help you with the payments, and maybe your in-laws can pitch in too. You'll work and I'll take care of the baby. Together, we'll make it work." Her words seemed like a blessing. My husband and I spent sleepless nights going over the numbers, weighing risks and dreams. In the end, we decided to trust her. We bought a bigger house, a house that felt like a piece of a fairy tale. Life seemed perfect. As my due date drew closer, my husband threw himself into preparing for our little one's arrival. He painted the nursery himself, choosing soft pastel colors, and spent hours assembling a crib that seemed unnecessarily complicated. His excitement was contagious. When our daughter Lily was born, she became the center of our universe. The first few months were a blur of sleepless nights, baby giggles, and diaper changes. My mother kept her word, stepping in to help while I recovered and then returned to work. "You're so lucky to have her," my husband would often say. I agreed wholeheartedly. Mom wasn't just helping. She was the glue holding our new life together. But life, as it often does, took a turn. One evening, as I was folding Lily's tiny clothes, Mom sat me down. Her expression was serious, almost distant. "I need to talk to you," she began. "I can't take care of Lily anymore. I'm tired. I have my own life to live." Her words hit me like a thunderbolt. "What do you mean?" I asked, my voice shaking. "You promised to help. We planned everything around that promise." She sighed, avoiding my eyes. "I've done enough. It's time for you to figure things out. Maybe your husband can find a better job. You're resourceful. You'll manage." I was speechless. The woman who had always been my pillar was walking away, leaving me to face the storm alone. The days that followed were some of the hardest of my life. I quit my job to care for Lily full-time. My husband began working longer hours, leaving before sunrise and returning well past dusk. We rarely had time for more than a quick exchange of, "How was your day?" before collapsing into bed. I tried calling Mom, hoping she'd change her mind, but her response was always the same: "I'm busy." Each rejection felt like a fresh wound. Meanwhile, she spent her days attending luncheons and going on trips with friends, seemingly oblivious to the chaos her decision had caused. Out of desperation, I turned to my husband's parents. They agreed to watch Lily on weekends, a small but invaluable gesture that gave us room to breathe. Still, the weight of everything felt crushing. One afternoon, I sat on the floor, Lily's laughter echoing around me as she played with her toys. Tears streamed down my face. I felt defeated, overwhelmed, and utterly alone. But then Lily crawled into my lap, her tiny hands reaching for my face. Her innocence and joy reminded me of one simple truth. She didn't ask for any of this. She deserved a mother who was strong, even when the world felt heavy. That night, my husband and I had a heart-to-heart. "We have to find a way out of this," I said. "For Lily, for us." He nodded, determination etched into his tired face. "I'll keep looking for a better job, and maybe you can find something to do from home." It wasn't a perfect plan, but it was a start. Days turned into weeks. I began taking on small freelance projects during Lily's naps. The pay wasn't great, but it gave me a sense of purpose and control. My husband worked tirelessly, even picking up weekend shifts. One afternoon, Mom showed up unannounced. She looked radiant, her face glowing from a recent spa day. "How are you?" she asked, her voice light, almost casual. For a moment, I wanted to unload everything, the exhaustion, the resentment, the sheer weight of it all. But instead, I simply said, "We're managing." Her eyes softened, and for the first time in months, she seemed to truly see me. "I know I let you down," she said quietly. "I thought I could handle more than I could. I'm sorry." Her apology felt like a balm on an open wound. "I just needed a little help," I replied, my voice trembling. She nodded. "I can help 2 days a week. Will that be enough?" Relief washed over me like a wave. "Yes, Mom. That would mean everything." With her help on those 2 days and my in-laws on weekends, life began to feel less suffocating. My husband and I found a rhythm, however imperfect. And in the quiet moments, when Lily took her first steps or giggled uncontrollably at something silly, I realized that we were stronger than I'd ever given us credit for. Life didn't go as planned. Promises were broken, trust was tested, and we were forced to adapt. But in the end, I learned something invaluable. I am capable of more than I ever imagined. One day, I'll share this story with Lily. I'll tell her about the struggles, the sacrifices, and the love that carried us through. And I'll make her a promise to always be there, no matter what. Because promises matter, and I want her to know she can always count on me. For now, we take life one day at a time, finding joy in the little victories. Our family isn't perfect, but it's ours, and together, we'll face whatever comes next.